And welcome back, everybody, to Summer with the Stars series. I'm Owen Newkirk, and today for episode 8, we are joined by a absolutely dynamic offensive presence for the Texas Stars last year, who in his rookie season did it all. And we're joined by Alex Chiasson. Alex, thanks so much for joining us today. I know last year was a very interesting season. If you look back on your first year pro, you went through an NHL lockout. You started on the fourth line with the Texas Stars, and you ended the season by absolutely lighting it up in the NHL with Dallas. What an amazing year that you went through the highs and lows of just about everything you could have done with pro hockey, with playing in the AHL, NHL, and injury. You name it. You did it all.
Yeah, definitely. Last year was it was quite the first year in my career, and obviously I really enjoyed the process. Like you said, I started on the third and fourth line, and I worked my way through the lineup, playing with better players, and which really gave me a chance to really believed in me. He saw a little more in me, and I took the chance. I jumped right on it, and then when the lockout ended, with a couple guys going up in Dallas, my role definitely got bigger, and I was playing different situations on the power play, penalty kill, a lot of 5-on-5, and it was a great year. Obviously, at the end of the year, that's the dream. Really, is to play in the NHL, and I was fortunate enough to play with all-stars, Jamie Benn and Ray Whitney, until I got injured. And really, my main goal this summer was to get back healthy and get stronger. And I'm going into training camp that they're gonna have to pick me and stay in Dallas. And that's really the dream. Is once you're up there and you live the experience, you never want to go back. And that's the only thing you want to do. And for me, really, this summer is to get stronger, get healthy, and go into training camp. And they're going to have no choice but to say, hey, Alex, we want you on your team. And that's my mentality staying in this summer.
Well, you have a new head coach in Lindy Ruff taking over for Glenn Gulletson, and a new general manager in Jim Nill, although you had met him at the end of the season with your exit meetings. Do you feel like you have to prove yourself again because of the new faces, or is this just part of the whole process of trying to stick with Dallas permanently?
No, I think I got to prove myself again. I think with a new GM, a new coach, obviously Mr. Niels see me play in the American League playoff last year, but 7-game doesn't make a career, and I get that what I did was really special, but at the same time, the business of hockey is if you don't do it, they'll find someone else to do it. And there's a lot of good hockey players, and I just got a little chance, and I really want to stick there. And I think, like I said, I got to not start over, but I got to prove myself again. I got to show them that that's the league I belong.
How frustrating was it for you last year to go through some of the stuff you did? Because you had a shoulder injury that kept you out of the lineup for a while, especially in February. And I remember you doing some rehab while we were in Lake Erie, and you were trying to get back to being full strength. You aggravated it in a practice one day and were really upset because you wanted to be out there. And then things flared up again in Dallas. You had 7 points in 7 games in the NHL, 6 goals, 1 assist. I don't even know if you could have imagined having that kind of success. But have you been kind of focusing on your training this summer in getting yourself healthy because of the issues you dealt with last year?
Yeah, for sure. And really, for me, it was a good experience of playing a lot of games this year. And for me, last 3 years, in college was a lot of 35 or 40 game seasons. And this year, I doubled that. I played like 77 or around 80 throughout the whole season. So I really understand what it is to be a professional hockey player now, playing a lot of games and all the travel. And it was a good experience for me. A lot in the AHL, I saw a lot of guys that have been there and they know what it takes to make it to the next level. But really is, for me, when I spend my month in the NHL, I really understood why some players are still playing when they're 40, and there's a reason for that. You see it right away, and I think it made a big change in my game and a big change in just my routine at home and how I treat every day. Is it's really important that every day you do what you need to do to get better, and it's a routine that you do every day after day, and that's makes the big difference. Is at the end of the summer, if you stick with it throughout the 2-3 months that you train hard, it's going to make a big difference.
Well, imagine that you playing against or with guys like Jamie Benn and Ray Whitney on a line. You obviously did very well, but seeing a guy like Whitney, you mentioned in his 40s, still playing at a very elite level. There were other players out there. When Yager was on the team, he of course is a guy that has been playing for 20 plus seasons now in the NHL. What is it about those guys? I mean, you talked about doing what you have to do to be ready every night, but what is it about a guy like Ray Whitney that showed you something that you hadn't seen before?
Well, really, for me, it was after my first NHL game. Every guy goes through like an after game workout, or just a stretch or ride the bike. And when I got on the bike, Ray was still biking, and I just asked him. I was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" That guy rides the bike for 15-20 minutes at over 350 watts. So he's basically having a workout after the game, which I'd say to myself is harder than playing the whole game. So it really stuck to me that for a guy that's over 40, he's doing that for 15-20 minutes after every game, and then after that he goes through his own body weight workout, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, I couldn't believe the guy was over 40 who was doing this. And I think that's the reason he's still playing, is that he's such in a great shape, and he's such dedicated to the game, and he still likes it. That really makes a big difference. And for me, it's good that at 22 that I'm seeing this is to do that right away. That hopefully makes a difference when I hopefully still playing when I'm 30, 35.
Now, there's a lot of correlations to your story that you just told. One of them is that in Texas, Willie Desjardins and Doug Lidster, the Stars coaching staff, instilled, along with the veterans and even the rookies, but with the whole team, a real sense of putting on a lot of off-ice training, and more than just the typical stuff, but really amping up those lifting days and the after-game workouts from the beginning of training camp, and that was a very consistent presence throughout the year. For you, did that, even though the eye-openers of something like the Ray Whitney example hadn't happened yet, did you really feel that the whole team was really on board with that kind of off-ice workouts? Because you guys were putting in a lot of hard practices, but that extra physical conditioning seemed to really pay off down the stretch of the season.
Yeah, for sure, and I think a lot has to do with the veterans on the team, the Max Fortunas, the Toby Peterson, even a guy like Luke Gastic and Colton Sevier. I think those guys really were great leaders for that. They were always the first one in the gym, pushing the younger guys. And I think for myself, I've said that a lot, but I owe a lot of what happened to me last year to Willie. I think Willie really pushed me to become a better player, whatever it was on the ice or off the ice. And I think he had his presence in the locker room, and regardless if he was on the ice or he wasn't, I think a lot of guys respect his voice and what he had to say. And for myself, I think when Willie said something, a lot, everyone listened, and whether it was to practice hard or to go after practice and do what you needed to do, everyone did it. And I think that has a lot to do with Willie and his respect that he has throughout the team, and I think throughout the league, a lot of players. And I got friends from another team that really said that you guys, Texas is a hard team to play. You guys play a really high pace, and I think that goes to Willie and Doug, to what they do throughout the year, and they're an amazing duo, that's for sure.
It's amazing to hear you make the praise that you have for the coaching staff, not because it's a surprise, but particularly because, and you'll remember this, when you and I did our interview together mid-season, we did a feature on you sort of emerging from the shadows of the beginning of your rookie season. It was about, I think, mid-January at the time, and you had gone through a transformation. But at the beginning of the season, you were on a third or fourth line, and Willie admitted when we were doing the feature on you later on that he wasn't really sold on you as a player. He didn't know if you were going to be strong enough in a bunch of different areas at the beginning of the year. He had incredibly high praise for you throughout the year, particularly later on when you had become really, even in your rookie season, a go-to player on the Texas Stars team. So it's kind of fun to hear you say how much respect you have for a coach that he wasn't sold on you in the first couple of months of you being a Texas Stars forward.
Yeah, for sure. And I think funny part is that I think Willie and I are pretty close now. And at the end of the year, Willie was talking to me about this. He didn't really know what kind of player I could be, and but it's funny how things work out. And I mean, of course, I think a lot has to do with me, and I had to prove myself, and I had to go through a lot of things. But at the same time, once I did it, he really saw a lot in me, and sometimes that's the way it is. It's never easy, and I'd rather start on the third and fourth line and working my way through the lineup than starting, up in the second and first or second line and then not playing well and have to go down and up and down. So it was a good atmosphere, and I think the work that Willie did with me was really paid off throughout the year.
One of the big turning points for your season, which was an elevation of your game. It wasn't the first time it happened, but I want to play you a highlight clip for a second. I want you to listen to it, and then I want to get your reaction. But are you ready for this? This is the goal that I'm sure you can guess already what it is, but it was one of the best, if not your best goal in the AHL last year, and it came on January 18th of 2013 in Chicago. And it was actually your second goal of the game already. Is the Stars went out to a 4-goal first period lead against the Wolves. But here it is. This is goal number 3 from that first period. Poke check by Alex Chiasson, just eliminated the play. And now a long pass forward to Chiasson. Drives down the right side, drags around to Gordon on the backhand. He scores! Oh, what a goal by rookie Alex Chiasson, his second of the game, as he dangles around Andrew Gordon, goes to the backhand and beats Climby, and the Stars have kicked a field goal. They lead it 3-0 with 9:28 left to go in the first period. Now I pose that to you. An unbelievable toe drag around an AHL veteran forward in Andrew Gordon, who has NHL experience as well. And then to a backhand that is as hard as any forehand shot I'd seen all season, beating Climby, wrong footing inside the right post and in. I mean, it was a spectacular play individually, and it was a great game for the Stars because right after the lockout had ended, the players had gone up to Dallas for training camp. We weren't sure who was going to be stepping into the roles to fill a guy like a Cody Eakin or a Brendan Dillon. And in steps a rookie forward named Alex Chiasson and does that. What kind of a feeling was it to score a goal like that?
Oh, that was great. It's funny, like you said, right before you were going to play, I knew what goal you were. I couldn't. It's tough to imagine scoring a goal like this. You'd think a Crosby or a Malkin, someone like that. They know they're going to do a couple like that in the season, but. I mean, I really didn't think it was going to happen, and luckily for me, I was going against a forward. It was great. I think that weekend really, that game in Chicago, and then we went to Peoria, and then we played Rockford. I think those 3 games really, I really changed my game. I think that weekend really changed my season last year, and hopefully it's going to be one of the weekends that changed my career, because I know after that was really where I pushed myself every day, and I knew I could play, and that's really the main thing. Is a lot has to do with the players' confidence, and I'd say that after that weekend my confidence was really high. I was really confident on the ice and with the players, and of course. That's really the weekend where I found my line mates with Justin Dowling and Mike Hedden. We played 3 of us and then after that was really a good chemistry that we started. So yeah, that was a great goal, but really it was the weekend that changed somewhat of my season.
Well, you actually took my next questions right out from my mouth. Was your line combination? What was it about the trio of you with Dowling and Hedden that created such great chemistry? I mean, you complemented each other so well, and Willie couldn't break you guys apart because you became a dominant offensive line for the Stars.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the different lines, it has to do with what everyone brings, and I think we had a lot of different things that different players brought. And you know, a guy like Dowling, he's super, really skilled, and you know, he's got a great vision, and he's a good passer. He can score, and the fact that I knew on the left side that you had Mike headed, you know, skating 100 miles an hour, regardless of where the puck was. That really, as much as it's goofy, it's really, you know, he's going to be there, and you know, Heddy's going to be first on the forecheck. He's going to, if you ever need to hit him, he's gonna go full stride, and he's a great player. And I think a lot of guys don't really, a lot of people don't really think, you know, he's a good player, but you know, he's got a lot of good tools, and yeah, he's made a lot of strides since I remember playing last year at the end of my season at BU and coming up for a couple of games. He's really good. So it was great. I think one of the other thing is we got along a lot off the ice, and you know, golfing or just going out for lunch. I think we're three guys that really bonded really well. So I think that helped us in a way.
Well, that helped springboard you to get to the NHL, and you scored your first NHL goal on April 5th of this year against Anaheim. I can still picture the celebration on TV in my head. You were the happiest guy on the ice, and my caption to you as I watched you score was, "Who can I hug? Who is it? Anybody there can I celebrate with?" What was your feeling like when you scored that first NHL goal?
Yeah, that was something else, and the nice one of the good part of that was that me, Brendan Dillon, and I really became good friends like 2 or 3 years ago, and I remember after the goal, I obviously that Fiddler made a great play, and I got a picture on my phone, and it's Brendan and we're just huge smiles, and it's great. It's just good memories. You know, you start when you're 3 or 4, and you skate around the pond. Or I remember playing outside, and you know, then you go through minor hockey and you different tournaments, and then you go to midget, and then I went to college, and you know, it happened so fast, but it was great. It's for me, one thing that was really fun was that I played against Saku Koivu, which when I was younger, he was really the Canadian star, and the way that he battled cancer, and a lot of people have a lot of respect for him in Quebec, where I'm from. So it was a great game, and for sure one game I'm never going to forget for the rest of my life.
Now, not only did you score, like you said, against one of your old Montreal Canadian idols, who, let's face it, is just an amazing player for so many years, but you go on and score 6 goals in 7 games. Did you have any idea? Granted, you were playing on it with a couple of pretty talented forward combos you mentioned with Ben and Whitney, but do you have any idea that you were going to get up to Dallas and score that much?
Not really. I think really my first couple of games was just, I know I was trying to make an impression, and that's really what was going through my mind. I was trying to play the simple game and try not to make a lot of mistakes. I was just trying to play, and you know, just to show a little bit what I had. And then when I got the chance on my third game to play with Jamie and Ray, really was a lot of confidence. I just felt like, hey, like maybe they see a little more in me, and I would say that me and Ray really bonded really well, and for some reason it's like I've played with him for 3 or 4 years, and I just knew wherever he was on the ice, I just pass it wide and somewhere or somewhat, you just get it. So Sometimes that's the way it is with players, and they see each other really well. And after that, it was just. I mean, God forbid I was shooting like 49%. So I know that's not going to happen again. And I mean, I think they know that too. I think that Dallas knows I'm not like a. I mean, who knows? But I don't think I'm ever going to be a 60 or 70 goal scorer in the NHL. But
If you keep playing with Ray Whitney, you might be.
yeah, maybe. But I think there's a lot of more things in my games that they appreciate, and that's the reason why I stuck, and that the reason why I was playing well was what I had learned in the American League, and what really pushed me to become kind of the player was really what I transferred in the NHL. And I remember after my first couple of games, I'd call Willie and ask him, hey, like, what'd you think? And he was like, hey, you just keep going. You just do what you do. And that was great, really. It was a fun start, and of course the injury really was tough, but at the same time, I had a great experience.
How important was it to have the support system of your AHL head coach? And I don't know if every player does that, would call their AHL head coach after an NHL game and say, did you watch it on TV? What did you think? That had to be incredible in terms of having that kind of feedback from a guy that you had gained a lot of trust and respect with, to be able to break down your game, with Willie after playing for Dallas.
Yeah, for sure. And he sent me a text saying, congrats, I thought you played well, and I figured I was like, hey, I might as well just ask him, what do you think? he's my coach, so I gave him a call, and he was really happy, and we exchanged a couple texts after that, a couple of phone calls, but it was great. I think the fact that, like I said earlier, the fact that I worked my way through the lineup in October and November, and then become where, like I said, the relationship that I made with Willie was great. So, overall it was an awesome experience.
Now, you came back to the AHL after the end of the playoffs. You had some injury issues to kind of overcome. I know that you had incredible chemistry with Dowling and Hedden. Did you feel like you had to regenerate any of that once the playoffs started?
A little bit. I think that, it's tough not going through. No, I didn't play with these guys for over a month, and but I think the first series, it's tough to say. First series, I think we scored a couple goals right away. I think I don't think it's the chemistry thing. I think the way that everything happened was a lot had to do mentally, but it was kind of weird. I thought, like I said to those guys, I just told them, you guys don't change the way you're playing, because what I did, it's nothing to do. You guys, we just keep playing like we used to, and we're going to be successful. So, it was, but for sure, I think it was a little change.
Well, there was also some other injury issues that people didn't know about during the playoffs. That Justin Dowling picked up an injury, and you were taking faceoffs for him. It wasn't the first time we had seen you do that, but you had shown, just like you said, talking about with showing other sides of your game for Dallas, a versatility to play in the middle as well as on the wing. It would have been nice, I think, for Dowling to be at full strength, but you guys really tried to adapt so that you could compensate for his injury.
Yeah, for sure, and I think looking back, I think it hurt us a little bit. I think maybe I was a little confident in playing center, and I felt like I could play, but I think in the second series against OKC really hurt us. But it's a learning experience, and I thought we had a great group of guys. I thought we would, to be honest, I thought we were going to make it till the end. But sometimes that's the way it happens. But we had a great team. We had a lot of all good people, and everyone got along really well. And I think that has to do with the leadership with older guys and the way that everyone blended well together.
Well, I know you are absolutely determined to make the Dallas Stars line up, and from getting to know you last year, I know that you are really going to try as hard as you can. There's no doubt in your drive and determination and focus, which is something that really impresses me. But tell me how important it is to see all those players that you've named, Gazdic, Morin, Sevier, you have Wattier, Fortunis, Peterson, all coming back for the Texas Stars for the 2013-14 season. Whether or not you're going to be with the Texas Stars or not, that has to be really important to have that kind of a veteran core leadership.
Yeah, for sure. And really, you look at every team, that's the way it needs to be. The fact that the American League is a younger league, and every year there's new rookies like I was last year, and for a guy like Max really took care of me, and like a guy like Toby, played a lot of seasons in the NHL. He knows what it's like. Now he's just towards the end of his career, and he still wants to play, but really he wants to give back. He wants to show the kids, the younger guy, what it takes and what's it like to be a professional hockey player every day, and it's huge. I think a lot of people don't really see it, but a guy like Luke Gazdic, even though he's a fighter, I think he's one of the main voices in the locker room, and Gazzy really takes care of everyone, regardless if it's on the ice or off the ice. If you need anything, he'll do anything for you, and I think that a lot speaks for itself as a team, as a unit, and with great people like that, it's just a fun team to be on and to play, and it's a great atmosphere. And I think, like Woody really said, that Texas should be the team everyone wants to be and play for, and I think that's what it is. I think the whole community around the team, whether it's the players, the coaches, or the people like you around, it's really nice. And if I have to go back, I'd be happy. Like, it's not a place that I'd go and I'd be mad, but because of the people that are around are really nice.
I have an interesting thought to close out our interview, because you and I could talk for 4 hours and it would be awesome, but maybe we'll get a chance to do that again soon. You played for the Des Moines Buccaneers in the USHL for the 08-09 season. I had to imagine that was really difficult, because it was the first time you've left the northeast of the United States or in Quebec to play. You left home, you left your family. But interestingly enough, if you come down to play for the Texas Stars, there's a chance you could go back to Des Moines this year against the Iowa Wild. It's been 4 years since you've been there. Would that be a bizarre reunion to go back to Des Moines this year?
Sort of. I think it'd be great. My housing parents from when I played in Des Moines still live there, and they came to watch a couple games when we were in Chicago or Peoria. They'd drive down, but I think it'd be awesome. It's kind of exciting. I think it's a nice little city, and they got a nice building downtown. So I think it'd be a little weird, but somewhat exciting for me for sure.
Well, you have another month or so, and then all of a sudden, around the corner, NHL training camp. We wish you the best of luck to try to make the Dallas Stars lineup. We really very proud of what you did all last year, but if you're here in Texas, that'll be a thrill too. Alex, so much appreciation for joining us. I really enjoyed your time again today, and thanks so much for giving a little bit here for the Texas Stars fans.
Thanks, Owen. Thanks for the talk, and again, looking forward to next year.
Alex Chiasson joining us for episode 8 of Summer with the Stars. Thanks so much for listening, and we will be back next week with another one. So long, everyone.